that was real liberating for me to know, like, oh, these things I love about myself are part of these things that are frustrating about myself, and I can integrate all that.
Okay, before we get into the Serenity story, you got to talk to me about like the autism diagnosis and how this all came up for you as an adult. And I like knew that a little bit about you. I remember hearing part of the story, but I want you to break it down for me.
Sure. Yeah. So as a kid, I had really big energy. I was larger than life. I took over classrooms, friend groups, just really, really intense. And that really alienated both teachers and kids alike. Like this, teachers didn't like me. I was in trouble all the time. Kids didn't like me. I was always messing up their games or trying to take over what they were doing. And my mom had me evaluated for different stuff. They called me ADHD, but that really wasn't accurate. The meds didn't help at all. None of that treatment helped at all. They didn't know enough about autism at the time to understand that's what was going on. So I think my official diagnosis was obnoxious. I was just obnoxious. Yeah. And so, it was just my mom finally trying everything discovered theater, that theater and the performing arts was my gift. What we now know as, my autistic special interest.
Okay.
Now, and I was very gifted on stage. That big energy was great on stage, very hard in a classroom, but awesome in a theater. And so that got me through my childhood, really doing a lot of performing, and that was my outlet. And in college, I was having trouble with dating. It seemed so easy for everyone else, and there's all the boys and girls in college, hooking up and all that. And I was having a lot of hard time. Like what worked for me in high school wasn't working for me in college, and went to the campus therapist around like what is wrong with me? Like, why can't I, why are these interactions with girls so hard? And that guy figured it out. He was the one who figured out that he called it Asperger's at the time.
Yeah.
Which is now known as just autism, but originally he called me Asperger's, and it made a lot of sense. I was like, oh, so all these things I love about myself, my ability to go against the grain, my creative mind, my sharp thinking, my ability to focus really intensely on stage, or ability to memorize lines and songs and that kind of thing, was the flip side of my issues with impulse control and social interaction, and sitting still or attention. And so that was real liberating for me to know, like, oh, these things I love about myself are part of these things that are frustrating about myself, and I can integrate all that. So I didn't really do very much with it for a while, but in the last, 5 or 10 years, I've really embraced it a lot more and been outspoken a lot more about autistic adults and what we offer to society, and how we can be more inclusive as society for people of all different neurodivergent brain types, including autism.
Wow, that's like so fascinating. How, was that like, were you devastated or were you kind of like relieved?
It was a relief. It was super relief. Yeah. I was devastated as a kid all the time. There's so much trauma, so much shame, so much, really painful to be excluded, to be punished all the time. So I had a lot of healing that I still have to do around that. But yeah, the autism diagnosis at the time was really, or Asperger's or whatever, was really helpful. It's like, oh, I now know. And then I could learn more about it. And now I have people, that are different like me.
Yeah.
So that was really great.
And diet has did diet have a big component for you? Like, does that kind of, I don't know.
Took a while. Yeah, I did not know it at the time. And of course, that therapist didn't know anything about that. But now, yes, I started experimenting with diet later in life, and then meeting Serenity and the paleo diet being the real, like, oh, this is the one. Because I've tried veganism, vegetarianism, and I played around with low carb stuff. And I kind of identified that I didn't really need grains, that was sort of a silly food group that wasn't necessary. But I still ate them like everybody. So really, when understanding paleo, like that optimal human diet, like what is the least inflammation, what's the most digestible, what's going to give me the most energy. I'm very sensitive to chemicals, very sensitive to inflammation. And so learning that, I can just cut out all these inflammatory foods and focus on nutrient-dense foods really had me feel a lot more grounded, a lot more present, and just able to enjoy life more.
Yeah, it's fascinating. I was like reading this one study about how I feel like we've thrown this ADHD diagnosis on so many things. Like there's some people are saying like, oh, sleep apnea can cause behavior like ADHD, and like they don't even test for sleep apnea. And then these poor kids are like getting diagnosed with ADHD, like put on medication and never really understanding like the root of where the behavior and feelings come from. It's
And
fascinating.
just too much sugar can make it,
Yeah.
in the diet, can make it seem like a kid has ADHD. Like all the symptoms of sugar spikes and crashes. And what do they feed all these kids at school for breakfast?
Oh,
Horrendous sugar, carbs all day long.
Yeah.
And so, there's all kind of other, trauma can be misinterpreted as ADHD. Like if they're traumatized, a lot of kids have trauma parents don't even know about.
Yeah.
And no parent really wants to accept the fact their kid might have been traumatized, and they don't really want to know, and so they don't look into that. So yes, it's a blanket diagnosis that is way overused and stigmatized and medicated, and some kids just need to be in nature more. There's all these studies on kids.
Yeah.
They just put kids in nature for an hour a day, and all their ADHD symptoms go away.
Yeah. I mean, it's like, hello.
Yeah.
Well, kudos to you for like being so outspoken about it. I think that's like super cool and maybe helpful for a lot of folks who have experienced like a similar thing and just don't have any like one they can even relate to publicly. So I love that you've like opened up about this. I think it's really cool.